this is an individual tragedy as well. Autism destroys families. More importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are children. These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they're 2 years old. And these are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted. And we have to recognize we are doing this to our children, and we need to put an end to it.
So previously I talked about MAGA, and now it's time to talk about MAHA. As you saw from the intro, RFK almost went into not tears, but it sounded like he was choking up, talking about the effects that autism have on our kids. And this is one of the reasons why I think many Americans support RFK, right? Because like I said, this is not about ideologies per se. It's about a practicality. It's about wanting reform. And RFK represents that. Trump, in a bigger way, represents that. Is that we want to do things differently because the way that status quo is operating, it's not giving Americans a good result. And I want to give an example of this, right? For the longest time, we all knew obesity was due to dietary habits. And there's been this movement, right? Like to associate obesity or being fat, hopefully I don't get censored for that, as being some kind of genetic disorder or genetic condition. And now you have the American Academy of Pediatrics is now saying obesity is a genetic condition and 12-year-olds should be prescribed taxpayer-funded lifetime Ozempic shots for life at the first sign of the condition. Kaylee means every institution in healthcare profits when kids are sick and loses money when they're healthy. Try to change that incentive. And I agree with this. Change the incentive, you change the outcomes, because currently this is what's going on. Ultra processed foods in U.S. child diet. From the 1980s, it was 30% of their calories. 1990s, it went to 40. 2000s, it went to 50. 2010s, it went to 60. And now in 2020, it went to 70. But they keep trying to say, oh, no, it's not due to dietary habits. It's due to a genetic disorder, right? Oh, I have a thyroid issue. That's why I'm still fat. Okay. Yeah, okay. And I honestly think that these people don't, the incentives are all over the place. And I talk about how there seems to be a lot of conflict of interest in the healthcare system. And I think this is one of the reasons what caused many Americans to lose trust in our medical institutions. When we find out there's like an economic incentive for prescribing a certain procedure or a certain approach to all these health problems that we're facing, it don't lead well to people giving trust to these public institutions. When you find out a lot of these experts are in the pocket of a lot of these organizations that they're set to regulate, RFK is the one who exposed all of this, right? And you can tell he deeply cares about the issue. And I think we need more politicians that actually care about the outcomes that their fellow citizens are going through, right? And I want to play this clip here. I think it's a very important clip because we're going to talk about autism, right? We're not going to talk about the cause of autism. We're going to ask a lot of questions here.
But it doesn't take you to read the literature. It just takes a little common sense. If autism, if the epidemic is an artifact, a better diagnostic criteria or better recognition, then why are we not seeing it in older people? Why is this only happening in young people? You know, I asked Walter before we came out here, I said, have you ever seen anybody our age? I'm 71 years old with full-blown autism, head banging, nonverbal, non-toilet trained, stimming, toe walking, these other stereotypical features. Where are these people walking around the mall? You can't find them. They're not in homes. There are no homes for them. There are no institutions for them. Why are we seeing them on the street? Anybody can look around and see that this is a canard. And then you have to ask yourself, why is it so pervasive? Why has it been thrown up against us for so many years? And clearly there are industries. This is coming from an environmental toxin. and somebody made a profit by putting that environmental toxin into our air, our water, our medicines, our food. And it's to their benefit to say, oh, to normalize it, to say, oh, this is all normal, it's always been here. But that's not good for our country. And it's not good for the press to not be more inquisitive, to not be more skeptical. And within 3 weeks, and probably we're hoping in 2 weeks, we're going to announce a series of new studies to identify precisely what the environmental toxins are that are causing it. This has not been done before. And we're going to do it in a thorough and comprehensive way, and we're going to get back to with an answer to the American people very, very quickly.
You heard it here first. That is an interesting question. If the medical industry got better at identifying autism, wouldn't they find more increases in cases of adults? And RFK used himself as an example. He said he's 71. He said he don't see someone his age walking around with autism. Right? It's hard to observe that. And that's what I'm talking about with the medical establishment, right? And this is where experts start crumbling. And this is why I'm not so beholden to experts, right? I listen to experts, I'll hear an expert out, but at the end of the day, experts don't decide reality. Reality is the test in which the expert must use to validate his theory. If the theory sticks that, oh, the experts just got better at identifying autism, then why you're not identifying autism in older people? And instead, it seems to be younger people. If it's younger people you're finding all these new diagnoses in, when that stands to reason that there's something causing autism now, we call it toxin. This could be food. It could be, the words that if you even link it to vaccines, all of a sudden they want to ban you. They want to say, oh, the WHO institution said this. I don't care about your appeals to authority, YouTube. Appeals to authority does not deny reality. The reality is, hey, we're asking some good questions that your establishment doesn't have good answers to. And what people are saying is they're not trying to link a cause of autism to vaccines. What they're trying to do is trying to ask the question. Remember, ask me a question I can't answer, not an answer I can't question. Your answer is, oh, it's not coming from vaccines. And our question is, how do you know that? And for some reason, you get banned for that. Oh, because of these studies. Well, Europe seems to be doing less vaccines than we are. Hey, what's the difference between a 71-year-old American versus a 18-year-old American now? The 71-year-old American had less vaccines scheduled during his childhood than we do. People are noticing these patterns and saying and are asking questions, hey, could this be the cause? We're looking for the source of this because autism is destroying lives, as you saw from the intro. RFK cares a lot about this issue. And if he brings, and this is why I think there's so much trust in the Maha movement, is because the Maha movement, just like Donald Trump kind of revolutionized politics, they want to revolutionize health. And this is something I think for the long-standing future of Americans, we have to get shuffled away already. And this is how you bring back trust in the institutions. You do the study. Who cares if it validates already what was already being said? At least that puts a peace of mind in the minds of the American people. And it doesn't help that these pharmaceutical people, they have a profit of keeping everything the status quo. And this is the problem that many Americans are starting to notice, right? And here's the video, the most important video on X today. RFK, we need to move away from this ideology that prevalence of autism increase are simply from better diagnosis, better recognition, or changing diagnostic criteria. This epidemic denial has become a feature in the mainstream. And I agree with this. It's like someone trying to mask a problem and saying it's a feature. And that's what's going on with our medical institution. And this is why many people are slowly, if you look at the amount of people who distrust the medical institution, it's in the 100,000s, in the millions. You got movements of moms saying they don't want to vaccinate their kids. This is hurting your industry more. Like, this is what I'm talking about. If a business has a reputation of causing people to get sick, and the business doesn't try to, assuage these people's concerns by saying, hey, look, we did a study. Look, our food is not causing you food poisoning. Our food is safe to eat. These businesses will go out of business if they do not confront the concerns of the consumer. Only in the medical field, these people don't have no, incentive to assuage the doubts of the people. because all that matters is having their vaccine on the schedule, and they generate billions of dollars. There's incentives for doctors to try to push this stuff on parents, and parents have some concerns about that. Say, hey, like, are you giving me this thing because it's actually good for my kid, or you're giving me this thing because you get an economic incentive for doing it? That's questions that parents like me are wrestling with. Parents are scared that if they go into a doctor's office and they vaccinate their kid, that all of a sudden their kid develops something that happens to correlate when they got vaccinated. You can't get mad when they start asking questions like, did the vaccine cause this? And I think these are questions that the medical establishment, they don't really have some good answers for. But I digress. I think I want to put some of RFK's thoughts here, and then I'll wrap up with my final thoughts.
We need to move away from today. Is this ideology that the autism diagnosis, that the autism prevalence increases, the relentless increases, are simply artifacts of better diagnoses, better recognition, or changing diagnostic criteria. If you look at Table 3 of the ADDM report, it's clear that the rates are real, that they are increasing in the last 10 years, which is the beginning with the first one, year by year, there is a steady, relentless increase. I want to, because this epidemic denial has become a feature in the mainstream media, and it's based on an industry canard. And obviously, there are people who don't want us to look at environmental exposures. And so I want to just read you some of a little excerpts from some of the older studies. The baseline for autism in this country was established with the largest epidemiological study in history, a study of all 900,000 children in the state of Wisconsin, children under the age of 12. They found 0.7 children had autism in every 10,000. That's less than 1 in 10,000. Today, we're at 1 in 31.
And that doesn't jump out with a level of concern for parents in modern America right now. They're saying, yo, what's causing that jump? There has to be a cause. We see an effect. We want to know the cause, right? Is it really better diagnosis? Or is there something in the environment, whatever it may be, whether it becomes through ultra processed food, diet, whatever it may be, that's causing this? We want to know what's the cause because we want to avoid this effect. And the fact that the medical institutions are scared to question previously preconceived notions about certain things and certain procedures done in our country to try to find the cause, it's why many people wanted RFK in this position. One of the reasons you can even credit him for one of the reasons why Donald Trump may have even won the popular vote, because I don't see Donald Trump winning the popular vote. Donald Trump would have won the election, in my view, without RFK, but I think he wouldn't have gotten the popular vote without RFK. And I think this is one of the reasons why. I think what the medical establishment has to recognize, a lot of these experts have to recognize, is we see many experts kind of hurt their credibility by letting their bias come into play, by letting their conflicts of interest come into play. And people are starting to see that these experts, are leveraging their position of authority or perceived authority to push a certain agenda onto the American people. And the American people are starting to recognize, hey, look, your status quo, the way things are, it ain't working for us. Look at our obesity rate. Look at our health. You're saying that all these stuff works, and aren't we supposed to be healthy? And then when you got people, advocates that come out and say, hey, yeah, healthcare doesn't benefit when you're sick. Healthcare doesn't benefit when you're healthy. It benefits when you're sick. People, they expose what? A profit motive or a conflict of interest. An institution that profits from when you're sick will find reasons to always prescribe these Ozempic shots, like these almost band-aids. And I heard Ozempic has side effects too. Before, your doctor would tell you, hey, you got to stop eating less. You got to do this. And this is one reason why I think the body positivity thing was a thing. The medical institution was trying to get people to comfortable in their state. Oh, it's genetic. Oh, it's a thyroid issue. Giving people all these excuses to explain away their bad dietary habits. Then when they suffer chronic diseases or they suffer some type of health issue due to that stuff, oh, here's a quick fix. Now we got the pediatric committee trying to say it's a genetic issue, but it wasn't a genetic issue for years, for decades. Why is that? Why all of a sudden is a genetic issue now? And this is why a lot of people, a lot of parents, like such as myself, we're having a hard time really trusting blindly the medical institutions, because we see how the experts from the economy, oh, Joe Biden's economy, Nobel Prize laureates said that it will boost the economy, it'll be a great economy. And then we lived 4 years of the actual economy, not the theory these economics cast in the media. And we found out, yeah, they lied or they got it wrong. Experts can be wrong. So I don't understand why we have this like blind loyalty. Oh, the expert said this. Who cares what the expert says? What the expert can prove. And right now they don't have a good kind of comeback against why, hey, why does autism increase so much compared to years in the past? What did we do differently from the years in the past? And it's a type of regression that we're trying to figure out. Like, what did we introduce into our environment that's causing this increase? And that's the question that many people want to know. And it seems like the medical institutions don't want to find out because it may hurt some status quo thing. Science is a presumption based in doubt. What makes a good scientist is he doubts everything, even preconceived conclusions. This is why you test, retest, and reevaluate. Here's an example. For years, many people had a speculation that food dyes had some correlation with cancer. For years, the food industry denied this correlation for decades. Longer than I've been around, they've been denying that, oh yeah, food dye does not cause cancer. And then what happened in 2025? The industry found out, oh, look, there's a serious correlation that food dye does cause cancer. And people were like, wow, it took you 50 years to catch up. And I think the same thing is happening currently right now with autism. And I think that's what they're really scared of, that it's going to hurt some type of economic thing that they got going on. And that's why they don't want to look into it, because it's going to hurt someone's pocket. It's going to hurt some medical corporation's wallet. And I think that's one of the reasons why they don't want to look into this, the cause of autism. And luckily, we have somebody in there that is willing to fight them off. I digress. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comments. I'll be interested to hear what you guys say. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.